dancers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Julie and I'm the owner and the instructor here at Ballet. We are a ballet school just for adults, all online. Yes, I am wearing a tiara. Why? Well, first of all, why not? But second of all, we're doing a super fun variation this Sunday all throughout September. We're doing our fun stuff series where we do a few of the Sundays each month, learning a different variation. We're learning the Candide Fairy from Sleeping Beauty, and I just got this amazing tiara for only $9 to do the dance with. Yes, I did make my dog Tina wear it too. So anyways, today we are talking about ballet and how ballet is a full body workout. When you see dancers dancing, you know they're strong, right? You can tell they have gorgeous muscles, they have long, lean bodies, they're in such amazing shape, but it doesn't always look like they're working that hard. They have a smile on their face, their fingers look effortless, it doesn't look like they're struggling. But they are really, really strong, and ballet is an amazing workout. So let's talk about it. All right, so I like to think about ballet as 4 different types of using your muscles. Number 1 is just pure strength, muscle stamina, being able to hold positions for a while. Number 2 is the ability to lengthen your muscles. So to be able to pull your body along and apart. So I like to think about, and I joke with my dancers, that ballet is basically just using your muscles to pull your skeleton apart. So the third way that we think about using your muscles in ballet is contracting. So we do contract some of our muscles. As an example, for our feet, we point our feet. We contract the muscles inside of our foot. Now we learn as dancers to contract our muscles farther. We learn how to get a muscle, any muscle in our body, to contract more. If you think that's all you have for a muscle, there's usually a little bit more in there, and that's what we're teaching our muscles to do. Now the fourth way is coordination. So as I mentioned in the very beginning of this little chat, dancers don't look like they're working that hard. That's because they have coordinated their muscles to have some muscles working really, really hard and some muscles a little bit more relaxed. So we are learning how to tense and utilize certain muscles to their fullest potential, contract as far as they can, hold their strength, pull our bodies apart, while other muscles are just totally chill. We don't use our entire body at once. We need to use part of our body and let the other part go. That's what makes us look graceful and like we're floating, and it's effortless because parts of the body, the parts that look effortless, are the parts that are more relaxed and flowing. So we learn to coordinate all of those types of muscle usage that I mentioned. So we learn to coordinate the strength. We learn to coordinate when to lengthen, and we learn to coordinate when to contract, how much, and how exactly all of that works. All of that together makes up the amazing full body workout that is ballet. So let me give you a couple of examples of each of those 4 things. Number 1, strength. A few of the most obvious examples of strength are these. Pliés. Plié means to bend. We turn out our legs, which means our toes are facing away from each other and our knee pits, the inside of our knee, are facing towards each other, and we bend. Now this is basically a squat, right? A squat is in parallel and we bend. It's the same thing, except it's turned out, which means we get to use different muscles as well. That means we get to use our inner thigh muscles and our glutes underneath the glutes, the rotators, the glute med, as well as our quads and all the things you would work in a squat. From there, we think about engaging our core. We lift up our body so that we're nice and tall, and that gives us a little bit of that effortless look. So a plie is a really nice way to get a good workout for your legs. If we're in second position, which is a little bit wider, and we do a plie, we can go really far down. We can go all the way down to here and then come back up. You might recognize this looking kind of like a sumo squat workout. It's a great workout for the whole leg. Opening the hip gives you flexibility and mobility in your hip, as well as an amazing workout. Second really obvious way that we're strengthening is releve. Releve means we go up on our toes. You recognize this as a calf raise, right? This is really great work for the calf, right behind your leg here, getting you up on those tiptoes. We hold that for a long time. In a given class, maybe we're doing 20, 30, 50 of these, sometimes even on just one leg, while we're doing other things with the rest of our body. So that's an amazing workout to get really strong lower legs. And then last, this one's not quite as obvious, but I do want to touch on the upper body. So we hold our arms in ballet. Now it might look really easy, and if it does look easy, then I am doing my job well. It should look easy, but realistically, I'm using a bunch of muscles to get this shape in my port de bras, which means the carriage of the arms. So number one, we learn as dancers how to use our lat muscle. Our lat is a huge muscle that's on our back. It's like a big old triangle back there. And we learn how to use our lats to pull our shoulder blades down and wide. So we get a nice big superhero back to prop our arms up on, to set our arms up on. From there, we're thinking about a long tricep under the arm. We're using a little bit here on the top of the arm to keep it supported and lifted, but mostly we're pulling that back down, engaging that back and lengthening the arm. So if we hold that position for a while, that arm is going to start to get real tired. I mean, we talk a lot about gravity in class here at the studio with me. We talk a lot about gravity. Gravity is relentless. Gravity never gets tired. It never gives up. And so if you've got your hand all the way out there, that hand is going to be so heavy. Gravity is pulling on it all the time. And so you're creating constant force in the other direction to keep it from drooping, which it'll naturally do. So you're applying constant force to keep that lifted and to keep your back engaged. Number two, length. Let's talk about length. The biggest piece I want to talk about here is posture. This is a really big reason why people come to ballet, and it's something absolutely beautiful about ballet and about dancers and about how we carry our bodies. So there are so many muscles within your core. Your core is involved, all of these muscles around your trunk, as well as some in your glutes and your pelvis, the pelvic floor. All of this is considered part of your core. Your core is massive. It's the warmest part of your body. It's a great part of your body, and it holds you up. So again, we're always fighting gravity, right? Gravity is pulling our body down. Our body is very heavy, right? Our ribs are very heavy. Our head is very heavy, right? Especially if you're wearing a tiara, it's even heavier. So our body is very heavy, and we need to lift it up. So what we're doing is thinking about using our muscles to pull our vertebra apart. We're thinking about a long spine, and if you checked my video out last week with my 1-minute crash course on core, I touched on this a little bit. We're thinking about tailbone to top of head, long and lifted. We're trying to get our head as far up off our shoulders as possible. And then on the bottom half, we're trying to lengthen our legs. That's going to really lift up in the front of the quads, lift everything up and pull up. Of course, the one thing we're not lifting is our shoulders, and that's where those lats come in. The lats anchor your shoulders while you're doing all of this lifting. The lats pull your shoulder blades down, and then you lift up underneath it. I want to talk about contraction next, our third thing. So I talked a little about lengthening the lower half of your legs. Now I like to think about there is a lengthening aspect, but there is also a contracting aspect as well. So when we think about having straight legs, as dancers, we have deliberately straight legs. As humans, as people walking around, our legs might be kind of straight, they might be a little bit straight, but as dancers, we actively straighten our legs. This might be familiar from yoga class if you've ever heard them talk about pulling your femur bone into your hip, if you've heard them talk about lifting the kneecaps. This is that same concept. You hear about don't lock your knees, lift your kneecaps. That's a big concept in ballet. So we get really good at pulling up this tiny muscle right above our kneecap and actively lifting our quads, actively pulling our legs straight. So really thinking about that tiny muscle right above your kneecap, engaging it to lift you tall. And then with contraction, the feet is a really big thing with contraction. So our feet can bend, right? Our toes can bend, and we can learn to point them into that range. I'm going to give you a little bit of a close-up so I can show you a little bit closer. So to start, here's my foot pointing a little bit. Now you're going to see me start to point farther and farther and farther, and farther, and you'll notice it's the same exact foot. I didn't get a more archy foot in the 5 seconds of this video, but I learned how to contract the muscles under my foot farther to continue pulling my toes down farther and farther and farther. So we learn how to really tighten muscles more than we thought we ever could. That's when you start getting the experience of cramping sometimes, when we're pushing the limits of how much a muscle can contract. And that's all a normal part of it, but that is a really, really big and exciting thing that dancers can do, and what makes it look like it has energy that goes on forever, because we're just always trying to contract more and more and more and more, and because we're putting that energy into it, we look like we're going on forever, and that's really cool. And then last, number 4, coordination. While we're doing all of this, as an example, let's take that grand plie in second. That was our big plie that was kind of like a sumo squat, working all the muscles in our lower body. Now, if I was doing this sumo squat and I was down there and I had flexed my body and I was flexing my shoulders and I was flexing my neck and I looked really tense and I had tense fingers and I was maybe frowning or something with my face, it wouldn't look very effortless. So I need to learn how to put full energy into my legs, full energy, while keeping my upper body lifting, lengthening, floating, and ideally with a smile on my face or whatever the character called for. So we are coordinating our muscles. As it comes to movement and gracefulness, which is probably the second most reason why people come to ballet other than posture, gracefulness is the ability to really move in space, but with parts of your body controlled and parts of your body more free. So if I'm moving all in one piece, I'm very contracted, my body is very tight, I may look like a robot or robotic because I'm not moving fluidly or separately. But if I can learn to relax my arms while I'm controlling and moving my core, and my arms are sort of coming along for the ride, they're still shaped and engaged, right? They're not floppy like this. They're still engaged, but they're not contracted and tense, where if I move my core, they're just gonna like stay there as I move around, right? If I move my core with floppy arms or with slightly shaped arms, right, there's a little bit of a difference. So we're learning to coordinate these muscles. How can one muscle initiate the movement and cause a ripple effect through your body without it looking like flapping and without it looking robotic? That's a big concept that we learn, to coordinate our muscles to work together. All right, dancers, I hope this little lesson was helpful to see all the ways in which we work our full body in ballet class. We work every muscle in our body, but at different times, different amounts, and different ways, and that is the beauty of ballet. So if you're having fun, let me know in the comments below what else you want to know about ballet, and I would love to see you in our next video. Until next time, happy dancing!